you want to say something first? Okay. Is this on? Let's see.
Oh yeah.
Hello. Hi. We are part of the post-production team. There's a few people missing.
Let's be honest, we're the most important.
Yes, they're the important part. It showed up. The rest didn't. They went to Vegas. So I'm gonna have everybody introduce themselves, starting with you.
I'm Tello. I'm a lighter and renderer.
Speak into the mic, buddy.
I'm Tello. I'm a lighter and renderer.
I'm Gary. I'm a compositor, lighter, and renderer.
My name's Brian. I am a compositor.
I'm Alan. I'm a lead compositor. I don't want to get the water. I am Rick. Well, hi, and I'm a compositor for the animation department. Yes.
I'm Krista Heiser, and I'm the producer on the post-production side.
Yay!
So what we do is post-production is confusing for a lot of people. What it is like everything goes through the pipeline from script to concept to animation, and then after animation is post-production. And what we do is we make everything look pretty, basically, is what we do. We do everything from lighting a scene, coming up with the color correction and look of a color of any scene, and assembling it, adding VFX, making it look pretty before it goes to the editors and audio. So that's kind of what post-production does. I have some videos and breakdowns if you guys would like to see them. I think they will probably explain this better. Let's see, which one should I start on? Why don't we just do the one we have to cut the stream for more RWBY for, so I can show this. Okay, cool. Sorry, I forgot that we were still off. So, I have two videos. One is on RWBY Chibi, and one of them is on RWBY Season 3. I'll probably show you RWBY Chibi first because it's short. This kind of shows some of the breakdowns, like side by side, of what it looks like pre and post. This will hopefully make a little more sense. So. Yeah. So you can see there's like a lot of effects added in that one. Like we had to do Alan did like the freezer at the end. He had to add smoke because anything to like blend a scene in to make it look good, we have to add because it's not going to be done in animations usually. So.
And if I could say for the lighting on Chibi, what I try and do is just they're 3D animated characters, so I always try and make sure that you can see the three-dimensionality. You can see that they're 3D by creating shadows and like little highlights and stuff on their face mostly, and they're really cute characters. So I want to try to make them look as cute as possible.
I got an example of the lighting. This is lighting, so I think you guys know this scene probably. And then this is what it looks like afterwards. With the lighting, like this, I know this was the one that got struggled on a little bit. We were trying to get a good lighting because I like casts light into the room on the floor, so we had to make it blend in and still keep this. Chibi was probably a tough one for lighters, I would assume, Eric. I don't know if you were working on Chibi originally, but because it had that style, we couldn't make it look awkward and creepy. We didn't want them to look like little dolls running around, so we had to blend in and be very soft colors. I think Rob was probably the main guy.
Yeah. But thanks for picking the shots I didn't work on, Brian. That's
yeah.
Nice.
I got some in here that I'm sure you worked on, I think. Here's
actually Pyrrha character lit.
So,
this one I did work on. Great freeze frame.
I know. It was really hard to get this exact frame, but yeah. Yeah. So this was a very tough shot because we ended up doing a lot of roto. I don't know if you guys know what roto is. It's like basically you're drawing a mask to occlude things from or add things back into. This shot was a tough one because the pans fly from in front of the counter to behind the counter. So we actually had to like roto out the counter and add it back in because we had to add the black glow effect, which Pyrrha has when she does her semblance. So it was it seems like it would be a really simple thing, and it was many hours of work to get this one little skit to work. So, but I like this skit. This is one of my favorites actually. So.
So I think you guys are going to notice like an underlying commonality about what's going on right now. It's like when we get it, you know, we see stuff like this. You know, this is basically what the animators are working with. So when we get it and we add all the extra layers, you know, the character layer, the background layer, the effects and stuff, everything starts coming to life. So this is really part of the pipeline where everybody gets to see how the fruits of their labor actually comes together. So it's one of the few areas of the pipeline where people walking by, like a modeler who worked on, you know, a specific maybe RWBY model like weeks ago, actually gets to see how that model is coming to life. It is not uncommon for us to be working on something and then someone walk by and go, "Holy shit! They just did that."
Yep.
So yeah. It is really cool because we get to this is where like our inner fanboys come out, because we're working on something and like, oh my god, the fans are gonna do flips and stuff when they see exactly what we're doing. We're doing all this extra things. And, the reaction that we get when we're looking at it is the reaction that we hope you get when you're watching it and experiencing it.
So these I got permission from Gray. Just letting you know, Krista. These are from the episode of Red vs. Blue. I don't know if I was at the Red vs. Blue panel yesterday. We did the episode of Mercs. We had to do a club scene.
You have to be on.
No, we can have this live. So because it goes out today at noon.
Oh.
So Ellen and I got to work on this club scene. Yeah. So this was a fun one. Every light in this thing had to time to the music. So, and that's what the club scene looks like after post. This was many late nights and hours just to get a few club scenes of dancing and everything else.
And just to clarify, the lights that you're actually seeing that was done by the composite.
That was 100% post, yeah. This is a good one that shows lighting from the lighting side. This is the pre-light, post or pre-light, and then this is post-light. So we got to play around with a lot more lights for this one because we basically had full reign on this one because it's something new. It was something different. So I think I have another Mercs. Let's see. Oh yes. So this is early when they first got it in. So this is very early without the textures and everything of the reveal shots. And this nightmare of a shot was here. So this one came with a giant list from Miles about, and it was kind of like a I'm sorry list because he's like, I don't know who's gonna get this shot, but I feel bad for them because he wanted him and Gray wanted very specific things on that shot. It was a giant list.
And look how it turned out.
And I got the shot. Yes. Miles was very happy with the shot. He ran across the entire building and gave me a giant hug and scared the crap out of me. So I was not expecting it. I was kind of knee deep into another shot, and he came over and scared me. So
anytime we have something, because we typically only get to see it like right at the end, but we can still read the scripts and we know what's coming up. Anytime we see something like this come up in the script with how many characters in that? What, like 50, 100?
Yeah, it's like 50 or 100. Yeah.
We get really nervous because that means basically there's a number of points that it can break, points of failure, where it's like every character in that can in some way mess up. Something on them can render wrong, like their shadow can be messed up. Like on every single character, there's a chance that 9 different things can go wrong. So anytime we see something like this, we get panicked.
Krista, can we talk about what a nightmare these were?
Yeah, it was a nightmare.
Okay. We don't ever use my, sometimes all those people in the scene. I mean, it took like an hour just to open the file.
Yeah.
We could get to them.
And each time we wanted to click on the mesh of the characters, if you clicked on any of the character or all of them as a group, or pretty much any of them, it would take about 30 minutes for Maya to
catch up.
Yeah, it was crazy. I think we ended up doing I think we'd spend about
Well, our goal was how many shots was the goal per day? We were trying to hit about 15 to 20 shots, and we were lucky if we got 2 shots per day.
Yeah, just for these.
During the crowd scenes.
And they came in late.
Yeah,
because they took so long to get out of animation because they had to take the mocap and then clean it up for every character. So, and they had a lot of bad dancing. It's really great. If you look in the background on these shots, there's some amazingly bad dancing by some of the animators. On purpose, I think.
No, you can tell it's animated, but
yeah. My favorite is the girl doing this.
Who in here knows how to dance? Yeah. All right, 4 people.
Yeah. Now take that entire room, and that's who was dancing probably. So, yeah, it was pretty funny. We had some like professionals doing like the cool, spins and dances. Most of the stunt team, actually, I think they were the RWBY stunt team.
And,
how many?
Carl Simon over here was part of getting all the really cool dance moves laid out and going around. So thank you very much, bud. It turned out wonderful.
Yeah, your dancing is awesome.
I don't think that's all I got. Oh, and then occasionally we have to do comp on Red vs. Blue Machinima, which is adding just the silliest things ever. Usually, you never know what they're gonna request. It could be anything from this is actually a pretty normal one with the bomb, but they've added popcorn buckets recently. I think
that was in Funhouse. That was in Funhouse 1 Invaders, and that was a lot of fun.
Yeah, they tend to keep it. We tend not to have to do too much with Machinima just because we can't, because it's in Halo, obviously, we can't get camera information out of it. So typically it's stuff like stills where we'll just put in a picture like this one.
Sometimes they do the green screening, we comp it, but not, they can do it themselves sometimes.
Amazingly, I had to actually render that toolbox.
Oh yeah.
Anytime you see a gag in the Halo universe, it's usually something that was built in Photoshop and then you comped in after the fact. Like the bomb, the toolbox, the bucket of popcorn, movie screen.
Weird. It's just weird stuff. Yeah. I mean, they request the weirdest stuff I've ever seen.
So fun.
Oh man, I don't know. Funhouse specifically, probably more than anybody. Let's see what else I got here. Oh, I got the RWBY 3 breakdown we can show here.
Oh yeah.
So this is a little longer. This is like 10 minutes long. It is a breakdown of a lot of the heavier shots, probably in RWBY 3. Hopefully you've all seen it because there's gonna be spoilers in this. A lot of spoilers in this. Nope, we can show the whole thing.
Okay, awesome.
I made sure. Already approved. So. may have had a small hand in this one. There was a lot of particles. This one took about 2.5 hours to render out of comp. We might have helped kill a few people on this. Kind of a memorial video. got the point. I got a lot of these. Sorry. Rob the bell. I did include her death in this, so we didn't show every death. No, I didn't. This one I included because there's a lot of lighting in it. A lot of like glows and sun glows and stuff. So. Oh, yeah. That's my uncle. See, there's a lot of times you have to add like anything from hits to like emphasize the history of that anime styles and things like that. Yeah, they'll have like a solid plate, like an image next to the game. And then we have to like make it look better basically because they put it in there to show us that there's going to be an effect there. And then we just have to make it look better.
This is here blurring stuff, magical and shiny and exciting.
This one was the Tom team kind of had to come up with a look of perspective because they had an idea of how it looked, but they didn't really have basically an image of it. So yeah, that was one. Yeah. There's a lot of shots in this battle. All shots.
were doing I think per frame it was averaging about 1 hour per frame to render.
And that doesn't count post rendering because after we get it out of After Effects, we have to locally render it on our machine. And some shots take, it could be a really quick shot and it can still take a few hours to render. So if you count like render times out of 3D and then on top of that, render times out of comp. It's a lot of rendering. What's that weapon look like? You can kind of see it. It's really hard to make out the stick. It's basically like solid line. What all the weapons look like. So we had to make them show stick out. They had to do a little more holographic almost. And it was not easy. See, like even like with this laser, it came out one. They had basically an effect in animation, but it was the wrong color. So we do a lot of stuff like just even little things like color correcting weapon to make sure it's the right color and matching it to a scene. We'll do a lot of mattes on different items and try to like matte out something to color correct it and compare that. Yeah, that's what we do. Just make things consistent as possible. Colors across characters and sets and stuff like that. Because if you get different lighting on a set between shots, it can look really strange. Every character's hair or whatever changes color, even if you don't really see it. Like, say if Weiss's hair was like a little bit more blue, you wouldn't necessarily notice it on that one shot, but next to the other ones, it stands out a lot. Looks really strange. So that's kind of, we try and avoid that as much as possible and fix it as much as possible. Okay, so. So we're gonna do Q&A if anybody has any questions. I don't know how we're doing this, but
yeah, go ahead.
I have the mobile mic.
okay, you do it.
Yeah.
You do it.
Yes, you have a question. Alright. Yeah, I'm lucky enough to know most of you guys personally throughout our visual effects career. But how would you guys describe the feeling of watching what you guys have slaved over with the fans? Like I was there for the RWBY one and it was incredible. But you guys who slaved over it, how would you guys describe that feeling?
Electric. You know, being in the audience with all you guys doing like the RWBY reveal or the red versus blue reveal, when we're there in the crowd with you guys and you're seeing that for the first time, it's almost like a wave of emotion that we're just riding there right along with you. And so it's like watching it for it's like watching it for the first time, and it feels so wonderful to be among you guys and feeling that for the first time. So thank you for that.
Yeah. Now Patrick right here, he has a question as well.
Having worked in Maya before, how many crashes did you have?
Well, I can answer this one. I think Maya's crashing right now as we speak.
Well, it wasn't necessarily crashes. It was mainly, oh my god, this is taking so long. I'm just gonna force quit and then start over because it would be faster than waiting for that.
Well, my computer crashed a lot.
Okay.
They mentioned it in the RWBY panel, but we actually started a fire this week on the RWBY 4 trailer. Some cables started on fire due to the rendering. So, yeah, that was a new one.
I didn't even know that.
Yeah.
This is the first time I've heard of it.
It smelled like smoke. Yeah. Everybody was wondering what was going on. It's like, oh, it's fine. There's just some stuff on fire. It's okay. That trailer was intense. So.
Hey, I like barbecue power cables just as much as the next guy.
Yeah.
So like after seeing that video, I guess like it was post-comp that vaporized Pyrrha.
Yeah, that was Rob. It was his fault.
Rob's the post-visual supervisor. He doesn't even know his title half the time. Rob was lead comp on RWBY 3.
Yep.
And then Alan took over when Rob went up to post-visual supervisor. He's basically kind of in charge of the look of all shows, right? Is that right? And he's out of town this weekend, so he couldn't come. But he got to do the Pyrrha disintegration. That was in the notes from, I think Carrie said at the panel, but they planned that from the beginning because they had to show that she was definitely dead. That was the rule. So disintegrating her seemed like the best idea. So.
Like I know you all have talked about like the difficulty of your job, but like what was your like out of all of RWBY, what was your favorite thing to do comp on? Like your favorite scene?
I just want to go down the line on that.
Yeah.
So a lot of the effects that we got were actually done by in RWBY 3. It was great.
Tony.
Yeah, so a lot of those, we were working with from what he gave us, but there were some shots where we actually could build our own stuff in After Effects, which I think to me was like pretty fun. We didn't have to, we could just build it from scratch and have what we're thinking and doing, and it's sometimes it can be quicker, and I know I think it can be very rewarding when it comes to that.
But was there a particular shot?
There was a couple. One of them, we didn't have the hit smokes for, so I got to build some of those for that. There's a couple shots of that, which it was really fun. It was, and then there was another one with the icicle, when they're in the battle, on the farmland, the ranch, whatever, the
Country Road.
Country Road, yeah. The icicles that are flying through the air, a lot of that stuff I had to tweak, and it was pretty fun.
We have another question.
Oh, did you want the rest of us to answer too?
We
We don't have to, but
go ahead.
I think my favorite was the Ozpin Cinder fight. I spent a lot of time on that one. It was, I think Carrie's note was "make this badass" is what it said on it, but it had no description of it. Like they were like, this has got to be above level over any other fight. This is Dragon Ball Z. Like these guys are better than anyone. You have to make them like as epic as possible. And so I got a lot of free reign on that one. So like I came up with like the bubble shield with the lightning. I decided that you need lightning shooting out of everything. And I just tried to make everything just super epic. And I think that was probably my most fun one. I really liked that one. So
it's actually one of the ones we saw before the Winter and Crow fight. It was actually the first day I was there. I think we started on that. It was episode 3, I think. And there's a lot of glows and like weird kind of fun sunset kind of colors and things like that. And we had to do a bunch of stuff with the sky, which wasn't fun because it's like it was a gradient that we put in 2D. So anytime the camera moved, we had to move that gradient up and down to keep it level with the horizon. So that was annoying, but that was the first one I ever did, and it was really I don't know, it was rewarding because it looked really nice.
Before trailer, the gradient and the sun. The fire.
I think my favorite shot out of RWBY 3 last season was probably the Juniper fight in episode 2. I think one of the things that I did that was the most fun was the Nora power up. Where she got one too many hits. That camera zoomed in on her, and she did this thing, doing the electric crackle all over her body. That was a lot of fun to go ahead and do. It just really just kind of just captured her character. Yeah, that was a lot of fun.
All right, we have another question.
All right, hello. First of all, I wanted to say thank you so much for all the work that you put into these animations so that they look presentable. Seriously. All right, and my question will lead to a second question, which they're not really that long. So first question. So do you guys take care of like let's say reflections on crystal surfaces, for example?
Sometimes. Yeah. Usually with reflections and stuff, say there's some chibi stuff where there's like actual mirrors and things. Yeah, we'll take that. They'll usually render it from a different camera, and then we'll put it together in post. Depending on what the shot is, it can be kind of complicated because we don't want to do reflective surfaces because they can get complicated. Yeah. So sometimes we might, but yeah, to get like a a specific key shot. Say there's one of Yang in the mirror where she's looking at herself. They want that to specifically be, the hero shot is her in the mirror. So we do that. They render it out from a different camera, and we do that in post.
Yeah, like that Yang mirror shot was actually 2 shots. So it was like the mirror shot was just a full-on shot, and we had to basically track through the mirror and then comp it out with some roto basically to make it look like it's a reflection, and then some effects to like kind of make it look like a mirror, like maybe like a shimmer on it and stuff like that, like mirror has reflection, dull it out kind of things.
Yeah.
Hello, this one is in regards to Ruby Fortress. I'm going to tread lightly on this and try not to say any spoiler stuff.
Real quick, we don't know what happens, so
Oh,
please.
no.
don't
Nothing
ask.
story-wise.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
entirely post-production for you guys. I noticed that the Grimm, whenever they open their mouth, they have like a light source now. So kind of like it's more of an emanating glow from their throat rather than just like a solid red that we've been seeing in previous seasons. Have you guys been involved with giving light sources like almost internally inside their body rigs?
Can we answer that?
Guys,
Actually, I feel like that's more comp. Because it wasn't really. I think it just pops out more in comp now that we're able to do a lot more with it.
I mean, we put some glows and stuff on it to try to make it pop a little more. Depending on like on the close-up shots, you'll see it's a little brighter and a little glowier, I guess, because they're like burning from the inside kind of thing.
With using Maya now, we have a little bit more fidelity with stuff like that, so we can really kind of get into doing more fancy textures and effects and stuff in and out of render and comp. I don't think they actually have lights in them. I think that was like glow because they have like a solid color at the back of the throat that kind of fades in. But yeah, it's they're definitely a little bit more kind of beefy than they were before.
What do you guys think of the new Grimm?
They were mean anyway. We just have to tweak them just a little bit.
So you guys have answered what your favorite shots were to do for RWBY, but what would you say the hardest shots were in your minds to do?
In RWBY 3?
I think the trailer was pretty difficult. But,
yeah.
I mean, just because of all the fire,
And
Can we mention that one?
The fire. Yeah. Well, I mean, there was literally
everything goes on fire.
That's all we're gonna say. Nothing else.
There was a lot of post-production effects that we had to do. So the any fire that you see in that trailer or smoke is stuff that we had to put in. And if it's moving in camera, it means we either have to track it in After Effects, which takes forever and is not the greatest, or we can get camera data from the 3D scene, which is fine. It just means we have to open up the scene and get it, and it doesn't
remember
work
about the
necessarily.
opening the scenes thing we were talking about? Like they take forever, so depending on the scenes. So
I will say though, for the RWBY 3, the clipping was the worst. The clipping, because you could have a beautiful shot and you think you're done, and then they send it back down saying nope, there's clipping. And
What's clipping, Gary? Why don't you go ahead?
Everything. The Yang. It was mostly. I think Yang was the most. Her skirt would always clip through her leg. Her hair would always clip through her shoulders. So that was a big pain. That's probably, I think, for me, that was the worst.
Oh man, the worst.
Okay, we have another fan question.
First of all, I'd like to personally thank you guys for the amount of work that you guys put into it. I know me as well as the rest of the Rooster Teeth community really appreciate it with how
Thank you.
everything comes out. Also, my question kind of ties into another one. They're both kind of short. So I know there's a couple of different types, but personally, what type of particle system do you guys use?
Well, I'm not sure.
A lot of it is Maya. The
Maya particles.
particles. Yeah.
The pedals were Maya.
Right.
Well, before it was geometry, right?
Well, we did some post and like Pyrrha and everything was done in Trapcode, particular in After Effects. So was Yang. The whole Yang scene, all that particles were all After Effects in particular. So
I think on 3 it was all geometry that they animated, because Poser didn't have.
particle illusion,
Yeah.
and then whatever else, handball stuff. And
Yeah.
we took that, made that geometry. The animators would add that to the scenes.
Guys, this is Tony.
Tony got to do a lot of this stuff. So.
Yeah, Tony's probably the smartest guy on the team.
Yeah.
And then the animators would add that geometry. We would render that out as a separate layer, and then the post team would add all the flows and make it beefier and like make it look more magical. So it was a combo of me on the tech side and then rendering out whatever, and then animation.
Yeah.
And then, but a lot of Poser, because Poser doesn't have a particle editor, a lot of it was pre-production geo into comp.
Yeah.
Yeah, it depends really on what is needed from any particular effect or anything. Because if we can get away with not doing it in 3D, say if a character doesn't have to interact with it, or it doesn't have to do anything particular to the actual set that it's in, we can get away with doing that in After Effects because we have a thing called Particular, which does like 2.5D particles, but it's not too robust in terms of like you can make some smoke go around a corner or something like that.
And the render times are horrible.
And
but it's pretty easy to work with and pretty easy to learn overall, I'd say. So if you're gonna do particles, it's basically your only option if you're gonna do particles in post, probably, at least in After Effects. So.
And if you could give us like a ballpark estimate, how many particles did you guys use overall per episode?
I know this one. There was at least 3 of them.
This many.
Yeah, it depends. It depends on the shot, honestly. Like Pyrrha's disintegration was a lot of particles. I don't even know. Robert's probably like 10,000 particles. I think probably when he did that.
Yeah,
I'm guessing.
It's a lot. It's a lot. I'm just leaving it at that. Yeah.
Yang's scene, I had 8 layers of particular running on that just to get that disintegration effect. And then I generated and rendered out ahead of time the transition, which I made in particular, because I had to match Monty's original stuff as much as possible, which I'm pretty sure he did that in particular actually too. Yeah, there was about 8 layers of particular running on top of each other. So that scene was that took about 2.5 hours every time I rendered it. And I think I probably had to do about 16 corrections on that before the final shot. We get a lot because everything we do goes back to the directors and they have feedback on them, so we have to do that too. So and that could come back. It could be little things like, oh, Yang's hair is a little too orange or a little too yellow.
Well, let's be fair. It's not just the directors. There's a producer who puts a lot of notes.
Oh yes, producers too. Sorry.
Yeah, that Country Road had, I remember, I think that was the biggest list of particles that we got.
Yeah.
Geo particles.
Because she was the Avatar.
You guys remember the leaves? The leaves that were in the air and in the sky. Those were pretty intense too when it came to and rendering and comping those were really difficult because of they were I don't know, I guess it was previs geometry, so it was really hard.
Yeah, if there's not time for the animator, like if the animators or Tony specifically didn't have time to get something, we'd get a lot of notes that say, well, fix it in post. That's what people say all the time. It's fix it in post. It's a real thing, by the way, if you work in post.
When you do that, how do you feel?
I don't even want to answer that. Everybody's like, oh, that's not a real thing. I'm like, trust me, you're gonna hear it from the director at least once, and you'll see the note. Like, hey, see if they can fix this in post. This is what you see a lot from the animators. Like, we can't get this to work. Just have them fix it in post. It'll say, something's clipping, we can't fix it, and our Pyrrha's rolling on the ground, and we can't fix the clipping. So they're like, we can just fix it in post. So it's very common to hear that if you work in post.
Okay, there's another question right here.
I know you guys had a lot of trouble with that scene in Mercs, so I was just wondering real fast, how did you get those ties stand up because they look so good?
Which ones?
What? Repeat the question.
How did you get the ties to stand out?
Oh, well, we can either pull this particular color from their ties. We can select that green and just select it only that, or they'll give us another pass that will just be black, them in complete black, and then just their ties stand out, and then we can use that to put glows and anything else we want on it.
I can tell you specifically on this one, it was I had a matte that we had rendered out of Maya to actually glow the ties. It was like This one was the scrutinized shot for sure because this is like supposed to be the big reveal shot. So they wanted the ties to glow a certain amount. I actually had 3 different glow presets on this actually to get that effect, and still, because like all this stuff doesn't come in black and white. This is like it's textured. Everything's 100% lit. Wow, I don't have the lit version of this one. It's 100% got all the textures on it in normal colors. So this whole scene, we had to come up with a look. I think the reference was Batman Beyond club scene, wasn't it? Batman Beyond, I think.
Oh yeah.
It was the club scenes in
Batman
that where there was like
Adventure
2 different colors. The goal was everything had to be 2 bright, different, like, very drastic colors. So like even the where's the dance scenes? Yeah. So like this, it was like we kind of made the we had to use a lot of mats too. We'd have like actually Tello and Gary would render out like mats of the characters. We had to separate the foreground characters from the background characters, and so we could like color correct them separately. But then everything had to go to the beat. So when we finally got the actual song, everything had to be corrected. So because the lights have to go on and off, and each character has to switch colors back and forth. It was a pain, but it was cool to see in the end. So
Good question.
I think I know 2 people who have a question. Sylvia and Lexi, I know you have at least one question.
Don't talk to him. He's a Cowboys fan.
I am.
yeah.
No, I think that they pretty much.
Well, if I could tell a quick story.
Sure.
Once upon a time. No. When I first started working, I wasn't caught up on RWBY. And the scene when Yang's arm got cut off, I was checking the frames when they came out of render. I didn't know. I wasn't caught up yet. I saw RWBY. I was like, wait, wait, does this really happen? I mean, there's no spoiler alerts in post-production. I was so heartbroken.
You're supposed to read the script, by the way.
I know. Don't
Yeah, that scene. So when I started, it was right in the middle of RWBY 3, and I basically I got no tour or anything. I just got sat down, given shots, and said sorry. So it was pretty much like, yeah, we need you to go to work right away because we got a lot of work to do. And I ended up getting, I think one of the first ones might have been Penny. It was episode 8. I started in episode 8, and then Penny's death, we had to come up, and I ended up making wires to cut through her. So we had to make that in post because there really wasn't anything.
They tried to render out wires that were like 1 pixel wide, which worked occasionally, but we had to like, because of the nature of how things came out of Poser, we had to like try and pick out these wires that were like barely on the screen, which got complicated.
Yeah, and then I think, I don't know, I got the Yang's arm scene, and I was really worried I was going to be doing every freaking death scene, and the Pyrrha one got put on my plate, but I was too busy with another shot, and Rob took it, and I was very happy that I was not killing everyone off.
I remember there was one that you were working on, just like the scene prior to her death. You were sick one day, and I subbed for you in the positive that day. I was like, wait a second, is someone else going to die?
Yeah.
It's funny, sometimes we'll get specific shots that are like very important, like I killed Amber. And it's kind of fun and also kind of sad because you know, killing characters that people care about. But yeah, it's always fun to get the sort of hero shot on your plate because like I'm sure that was fun.
That one was cool. That was the first. I think that was the first shot I got that was like a big thumbs up from Gray. So that was like the first shot I submitted, and it didn't have feedback, which is amazing. So that was kind of exciting.
It's always fun when you do it right the first time.
Yeah, that's it.
Then you question what's wrong. Actually,
Exactly.
you're like, wait, what? Something's wrong. Are they cutting it? What's going on?
Yeah, that brings up just an interesting question, and we kind of glazed over a little bit before. Of all the animated shows that you've worked on so far at Rooster Teeth, RWBY, Chibi, RWBY, was there a single shot that stood out in your mind that was your favorite one to work on?
Shot specifically. Yeah. All right. Well, for as big a pain as they were, the crowd shots for the Merc stuff, just seeing how they came out of comp, I was like, okay, it's worth it. The fans are gonna love this. all those long nights of
So different.
trying
Yeah.
to get it right and trying to get the Maya not to crash, and trying to get the software. I mean the files to open. So, okay, it's paying off.
I really enjoyed all the fight scenes. They're pretty fun to comp.
Yeah, there's a lot of shots. I mean, every single shot has to be touched by comp. That's just how it goes. Like every single shot, no matter what it is going to be touched by comp in some way. Because we have to assemble, we like render out all the layers and like sometimes there's like you don't see it so much in RWBY as much as like RWBY Chibi, but we do like depth of field and stuff in RWBY Chibi, which makes the render times a little longer in post.
And motion blur.
And motion blur. The other RWBY doesn't have motion blur.
Motion blur takes like probably double.
Yeah, it's all done in post. The motion blur too. So
Was there a shot that stood out? That as like a favorite.
It's funny. I keep looking at all these shots and just like reminded of it because I haven't seen the show in 6 months or whatever. But I think the funky fight was probably my favorite one.
Yeah, that one was amazing.
With I can't remember his name. Who's the guy with the trumpet? Flint. Yeah, Flint. Yeah. Like doing his crazy tornado trumpet thing and Yang flying through it, and I got to do all this like crazy color stuff and blurs and speed lines and stuff. And that was really fun. I was excited to do that. Like I saw that, on my to-do list, and it was like, oh, cool, I get to do that one. That was fun.
Let's say how we started research.
Okay, go ahead. That favorite shot that I did, across the board, I mentioned the RWBY shot earlier, but I think one of the favorite shots that I had last year was actually on RWBY. You guys familiar with Sharkface in RWBY from last season? His glorious death scene in the middle of the street where he was getting gunned down. That was a lot of fun to go ahead and comp killing the hell out of that guy. What a douchebag, but it was so much fun to go ahead and bring him to his end. That was a lot of fun. But I think we'll go ahead and end it with how we came to be at Rooster Teeth, and I came actually, I'm one of the oldest guys up here, but I'm also one of the greenest. I actually came directly out of college. So I started, God bless his heart, about a week after Monty had passed. So I was one of the first ones to come on, and I started RWBY and started comping like episodes 2, 3, and 4 before we actually got to episode 1. But I came right out of school from the Art Institute actually locally, and got started at Rooster Teeth, and it's just been a hell of a ride ever since.
What was it? It was RWBY. It was Rivers Blue.
Last
season. Not this season.
Yeah, season 13 is where I started.
Mind you, the post team, I mean, basically has only been around since the end of RWBY the last season. Before that was basically what Gray and Carrie everything.
And Jeff.
And Jeff comping everything. So for the first 2 seasons, so they wanted to like step it up and get a full on team, pretty much all around the board animation wise. We wanted to make it more professional and step it up. So Chris would probably know more about that, but yeah.
I started last November, right at the beginning of RWBY 3. I think I started on episode 3. This was the first job I applied for when I could legally work in America, and I got it. So that was
I thought you were native Texan.
I'm from the
He's
land
faking the accent.
of unicorns.
He's from East Texas.
Yeah, I'm from England, if you can.
There was an E in there somewhere.
But yeah, it's not a wildly exciting story. I just applied and got it when I was really lucky and happy about it.
Yeah, what did you do?
What I did before, well, I was a green card application, which is complicated. But before
did
that,
you fix that one in posting?
Before that, I was working at a place called Compost Creative, which does VFX for TV shows. A lot of like lots of World War II documentaries. Is not quite as exciting as RWBY or Red vs. Blue. So yeah.
Oh, you want to go or?
He is next in line.
Yeah,
Oh,
I
he was like
I kind of have a weirdly long story, unfortunately, but I started in video games. I was working for BioWare as an editor. BioWare, Bethesda, a few other companies for the last about 10 years. Sorry, I have a mint in my mouth. I was an editor of a senior editor for a few different companies. And basically, when you're an editor, you kind of start having to take up, because in video games they don't keep more than usually one or two on staff, and so you have to start doing motion graphics yourself, which is like After Effects. Filming green screen interviews sometimes and comping it in. So I started learning through that. And eventually I just started doing it so much that I started doing visual effects learning, particular and other stuff. And then I worked in Hollywood for a little over a year on like just a bunch of TV shows like NCIS and Castle and a bunch of really horrible asylum flicks. And then I went back into gaming and then moved back to Austin, and the Rooster Teeth thing came up and I applied. They took me, so it was cool. Yeah.
I started back in November. Yeah, I was actually driving home from SCAD for winter break, and Krista calls me. Krista was one of my college professors. She taught me a lot, and she called me like I was literally leaving SCAD to come back here. She's like, "Hey, I have work. When are you coming in? Because like, when is your break?" And I'm like, "I am literally leaving today." And so she called me, and then I came in the next day. I came into Rooster Teeth, and I met everybody, and then I started that Monday. And then after, I think I worked until episode 9 or 8, or I think I worked on 8 and then started on 9, and then I had to go back to SCAD, and then I came back, and then it was again. I was here like less than a week, and then she called me up and said, "Hey, I have more work," and I was like, "Yes." So it was really fun.
I lied on my resume. I was actually a student of Kristen's as well. I think Rick and Gary were all classmates actually. And I started an internship about a week after Gary started. And when my contract ended, I finished school and I was working at a restaurant. And then Krista, thank the good Lord, called me back and said, "Hey, do you have a job yet?" I said, "Not really."
So you go from pushing plates to pushing pixels.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm thank you very much, Kristen.
She's the best, by the way.
Yeah, she is.
She's kept us all on track, and yeah.
Yeah, thank you.
We love you, Krista.
I just want to talk about Kristen's skills as a producer. Like, there was one night it was really late and tired, and we were getting it. We were like, we're getting out of here. We're going home. And Krista came over and she said, "So have you finished all your shots?" Well, I mean, almost. So you're gonna finish that one up right before you leave? Yeah, of course.
we were like, oh.
What's the term? Like, hang tight. She says, "Hang tight." That's what it is. So,
yeah. I was like, I'm getting out of here.
You knew that.
she had no idea.
Krista actually comes from lighting, right? You were lighting, but she's been in the industry for a while, so.
All right, so we're out of time.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, they just gave us the sign back there.
So that is it for us, guys. Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you.
If you guys have any questions, please.